Thank you for joining our end of the week Q&A episode. This is Michelle Patel.
This is Gabe Baradi. We are from Satisfied.
And thank you so much for all those who have been submitting their questions. Some of the questions we are already incorporating in the following episodes. But for some questions that we really would like to focus on, we're featuring them in the end of the week Q&A. Okay, so let's start with our question for the week. This is from season 2 of episode 5, How to Positively Influence Peers. Gabe, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. So if you all remember, the episode 5 of season 2 was how to lead your peers and customers. So that's why we're answering this question. So how do you do positive influence with peers? Definitely, there will be times when our leaders in the store or at our workplace will ask for maybe volunteers or will assign tasks. And, we've all been in that situation where the leader asks for volunteers and nobody volunteers, nobody raises their hand. So
Just
one
like in
way,
school, right?
yes, everybody starts to look at their feet or to the
Yeah.
ceiling, just not at the eyes of the leader, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to start on the journey of self-leadership and then influencing your peers, definitely it's time to step up. Take those small assignments from your leaders as an opportunity to grow, and it's also your chance to show people that you can also be trusted and then that you can be influential positively in their lives. So
Yeah.
definitely we have to step up, volunteer for those small tasks that a lot of people feel that they're not important, but each task that you do, especially when you step up, it's a learning opportunity for you to become a self
Yeah,
leader. Hmm.
correct. Aside from that, for me, stepping up means taking proactive steps,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
So in some cases, when people are afraid to volunteer, to take that leadership stance,
Hmm.
it sometimes stems from fear, right? Self
Hmm.
doubt, and but most cases it's more of the fear of what others might think about me.
Yes. Hmm.
Like they're afraid that their peers might see them as trying to what do you call it, um can't find the right word now but it's
Suck
more of
up
like
to the
suck up,
leaders. Yeah.
yeah, trying to, like,
Yeah.
make themselves be appear better.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
Now, so that mindset alone tells us so many things, that there is competition within the team,
Yes. Hmm.
right? Now, in the context of where we are now, post quarantine, where everyone needs to work together, united as a stronger team,
Hmm.
competition within the team is not going to be helpful. It's not going to make things better for everyone. So
Right.
this is a time where if you know that you have the time, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have the mindset compared to your team members, take the step forward.
That's right.
Volunteering does not mean that, if you fail at something, so again, it's your fear of failure. No, now
Hmm.
is the time that no one knows everything, no one knows
Yes.
what should be done. So it's a period of experimentation, of learning, but we won't understand what the customers want, what will help our business right now, unless we try.
Hmm.
So
Right.
if you have an idea, if you feel that you can do more, you have time to give compared to your other
Hmm.
coworkers, by all means volunteer, assist, help out.
Hmm.
Because whatever you give out there, again, with a giver mindset, right, it will come back and benefit everyone. So
Yes.
everyone wins.
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So the next
And
one.
that leads actually to the second point that when you provide leadership, you also, like you said, Michelle, right, help other people with tasks, not because you expect anything in return, but it makes everybody's work easier when we're all helping each
Mhm.
other rather than competing, like you said. So,
Right.
you can help in a way that you're not taking over the job for
Mhm.
your colleague, because definitely we all have our
Mhm.
tasks. It's just,
Mhm.
you could offer suggestion, you can assist, but, don't take over and do everything for them, because then even
Yeah.
they will lose out on
Yeah.
that learning opportunity.
Also, they will feel that they won't be able to have the chance to even check if they can do it on their own,
Yes.
right? So
Mhm.
there is sometimes this mindset where, let me just do it so it gets it
Right.
done,
Right.
right? So that it's
Mhm.
faster, because some
Mhm.
rather than helping someone that will take longer. But remember, more hands working means that we can grow faster. You
Yes.
cannot
Mhm.
do everything on your own. And I
Right.
guess this is a message for the store managers, for the store supervisors also,
Mhm.
right? The store leaders. You have to empower, you have to let the team learn, but
Mhm.
with your guidance, with your example, because
Yes. Mhm.
otherwise they will not learn to do things on their own. The mistakes are part of it.
Right.
Everyone went through that, right? Like, the way to learn is actually through failure. Everyone fails, but
That's right.
the whole point is, how do you stand again after that failure? Are you going to
Mhm.
just give up, or you're going to try again?
Right.
Okay, the third point.
Right. So third point, and as a someone who wants to influence people, you also have to first build your credibility with people as a helpful and a positive person. One way you can do that is to make sure that each coworker, each
Mhm.
colleague is heard.
Mhm.
In any group, there are those who are more extroverted or probably speak more, speak louder. And there are people who will be left behind. It's when we take care of these people, make sure that, you know, to us, they still have a voice as well. Then, the positivity is shared around everybody. And these people who rarely speak will now feel safe sharing their own ideas and opinions
Mhm.
with you because you took the extra time to really listen and to give them a chance to speak.
Yes. Now, since my background is heavy in research, right? So whenever I do these focus group discussions, it's always a mix of customers, different people, different personalities. And you
Right.
could immediately tell who's more extroverted, who are more introverted.
Mhm.
Now, my role as facilitator, and if you apply that kind of experience in the store setting, in a team, if I'm the manager, I should be able to know by now the personalities of the team, right? There will always be someone who will share first, speak, and dominate the conversation. But it does not mean that the quiet ones don't have anything to contribute. So my role as a facilitator of that discussion is to make sure to call out that person, encourage the person to share, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And make it part of the conversation. So now it becomes a
Mhm.
collective discussion where
Right.
everyone's voice can be heard. The
Mhm.
worst thing that we can do is already label someone as, no, 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 that person is shy. That person will not share. That person will not speak out.
Right.
This past quarantine, we had many conversations and discussions with different companies that we work with, right? So
Mhm.
we started asking for feedback from some of their customers.
Yeah.
And I remember one of our clients said that, oh, but this customer, she's a top customer, but she's very shy. So I don't think she will really share her feedback, especially if it's
Right.
like through a video, right? Because
Mhm.
now we need to use video, we need to use
Mhm.
technology. So I remember saying, you know what? Let's just give that opportunity, because I mean, if she's one of your top customers, then her feedback matters.
Right.
You know what?
Mhm.
She immediately sent her feedback through a video, and it was a very animated sharing.
Right.
Like, you won't even think that that person would be labeled as shy, as an
Mhm.
introvert, right? Maybe she's not posting publicly on social media, but
Mm.
when you
Mm.
put that person again in a safe environment where there's trust, right? There's that relationship that's already been
Mhm.
established. It allows for really real meaningful conversations to happen. So always give people a chance.
Right.
Go beyond face value. right? But everyone has a heart, everyone has a soul, everyone has a mind that
Right.
works.
Mhm.
And if you are a team and you want to make the team stronger, you have to make everyone be heard.
That's right.
Okay. Now, still on the same question, which we're focusing for this week. See, the question seems so simple, right? How to
Yes.
positively influence peers, but there's just it's
Mhm.
such a complex
Mhm.
and very interesting topic. Okay,
Right.
Gabe. Next one.
And actually, so the previous point leads into this next one. We want everyone to be heard because, again, you're never sure where the best idea may come from. And the best ideas don't always come from those who are always heard because they dominate the conversation. You never know that, the best
Yeah.
idea might actually be coming from the person who rarely speaks, or like that customer who people have already labeled as shy, but turns out she had something important to share, and that's important, especially if we are to survive as businesses, as teams. We need all the best ideas that we can get. So it really should be, let's support the best ideas regardless of who
Mhm.
shared it. The idea is not more important based on the rank of the person
Yeah,
sharing it,
that's true.
because especially for frontliners are at at the point where they deal with the customer, so they see all the possible challenges and problems right away, rather than somebody who might be in the support role. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter really where the ideas come
Yeah.
from. So
Mhm.
let's give all these ideas a chance. Of course, the best ideas are what we will prioritize. It doesn't matter who it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then of course we will test those ideas first, and this is a really good um, way to test it, is to test it with a small group of customers and get their feedback, so then we can
That's
keep
true. Yeah.
making the solution or the idea
Yeah.
better as we go along.
Mhm. I remember before when I started my career more than 20, 20 years ago in brand management, right? We
Right.
had this exercise. Okay, so I used to sell ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
So we would come up with like 30 ideas on ketchup, right? How to sell it, a new color, something, right? A new benefit, some health aspect. But the whole exercise asked us to just think out of the box, be creative,
Yes.
do
Mm-hmm.
not be hard on yourself, do not
Yeah.
kill your own ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and do not kill other people's ideas because we're
Yes.
working as a team. So we
Mm-hmm.
just like came out with the craziest idea. So we had to come
Mm-hmm.
up with 30. Actually, I think it even reached 50. And we,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, we tested it in a research.
Right.
Because the thing is, if you're already trying to judge these ideas, these proposed solutions in your head,
Mm-hmm.
or even filtering what your coworkers are sharing,
Mm-hmm.
you are killing you're killing creativity,
Yes.
right? And if there's one thing that's important during this lockdown, during this quarantine, is that our imagination and our sense of creativity have no limit.
Yeah.
We may be physically within these four walls of our
Right.
homes,
Mm-hmm.
right? But our creativity, there's no travel ban, there's no quarantine on our creativity,
Right.
especially in coming up with solutions. So yeah, that's what I have to share about that.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a chance.
Yes.
Give them a chance. Sometimes the craziest ideas are what's going to help us survive,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. And then I
Yeah.
just wanted to point out, for all of our answers, they're actually linked to the values that we shared in season one. So, it's just reinforcing the importance of the giver and the growth mindset, as well as the values that we need to be
Yeah.
successful service frontliners.
Yeah. So you can go back to the episode on fairness, how
Mhm,
to practice fairness at the workplace from season one.
mhm.
Okay. And this last thing on this slide.
Yeah, so this next one is, of course, in the workplace, we want to be authentic and professional. And of course, that links to our value of consistency. Even especially at this time where there's the challenge of COVID and quarantine and safety,
Yeah. Yeah.
we really need to be as professional as we can be, and yet still authentic. And when we say
Mm-hmm.
authentic, it means you accept that you might have your own mistakes as well, and you take
Mm-hmm.
ownership of those, because
Yeah.
they are opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
We don't have to pretend to be perfect.
Mm.
And I've seen that in previous jobs that I've worked, is that some people, in the desire to look perfect, they
Mm.
will cover up their mistakes, and we can't
Mhm.
afford mistakes, especially in this period
Mhm.
of the virus, right? Especially when it
Yeah.
comes to safety, we really need to
Mm.
do
Right.
our best to keep our colleagues
Mhm.
and customers safe. So you
Yeah.
make a mistake, own up to it, and then solve it right away.
Mhm.
Don't cover it up, because
Mhm.
we all have experienced that a mistake that you cover up just becomes a bigger mistake later on.
That's true. This word authentic, we keep hearing it now, right? And I think
Yeah.
this is this era's thing. Like in friends, in relationships, in
Mhm.
coworkers, in the brands that you continue to support
That's right.
and
Mhm.
follow. This is something that we are looking for, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
like we could easily tell what's fake from what's real.
Right.
But now it's not just about saying, oh, you know what, I want what's real. No, I want something authentic. Now, what is
Mhm.
the difference between that? Being authentic is really being true to yourself. That,
Mhm.
Gabe, your authentic version, your authentic self is different from my authentic self,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Because now it comes from also the values that I uphold as a person. But together, because we're part of the same company, Satisfying, right? We uphold ourselves and our actions and our words to meet the values that we have set for the company. So
Right.
when I think that's very important to understanding, because some people might ask, how do I become authentic, right? Is it just being who I am, being honest with what I say? I'll post anything on social media. No, it's
Mhm.
being authentic to who you are as a person, and that person is defined by the values that you uphold. Everyone has a line that, okay, you've heard of that, like, okay, he crossed that
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
meaning we have a non-negotiable when it comes to the set of values,
Mhm.
right, that define what's good and right in our lives. So
Right.
you just hold on to that. So what I'm sharing here, it is applicable for individuals, but most especially for businesses. If you're creating a strong brand or you'd like to have that in the future, consistency is so important, because you cannot be like this type of business now and then tomorrow you're going to totally change, right? You will
Right.
not build trust. And even with people, you cannot keep changing the kind of person you are. That means you're not
Yeah.
being authentic, right?
Mhm.
Because you're flipping, you're trying to see what works, or, oh, this person wants me to be this way. When I'm talking
Yes.
to my boss, I will be like this, but to my peers it's a different persona, right?
Mhm.
Different attitude. So they're not being authentic,
Mhm.
and you're not being consistent. And
Yeah.
now it's so easy to spot people like that, because we are naturally looking for relationships that are authentic, right? Life
Mhm.
is short. If there is something that we learned during this pandemic, is that everything has become simpler. There's less
Mhm.
distraction, so now we get to see what's real out there.
Mhm. Right.
Some profound wisdom that we gathered from this quarantine.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, next.
All right. So again, this goes to our value for humility. If part of at the beginning of this, we said that part of influencing positively is to offer your help. You
Yeah.
also have to realize that, again, you're not perfect. Sometimes you do need help from your colleagues as well, and you have to be humble enough to ask for this help, and
Yeah.
that makes people feel like it relates to authenticity as well when you
Mhm.
ask for help. So this helps everybody accept each other for who they are, and to help each other and to be positive.
And I think that also defines that we are a real team,
Mhm.
right? I can count
Right.
on you, you can count on me.
Mhm.
Again, this relationship is not give and take, okay? Going back to that giver mindset. So I
That's right.
suggest you go back to season 1, episode 10. It's not about, okay, I'll help you now, you help me. No.
Mhm.
It's really just being able to admit to yourself and being humble that, you know what? I think my coworker is better at this.
Yes.
I would always ask the best person who knows the solution, go to the right source, and it takes a lot of humility to be able to admit when we couldn't do everything.
Right.
But that's the whole point. That's why in a team, in a store, it's not one person, right?
Yes.
There's more of you. You may not like each other all the time, but you're there to help each other out. There's a reason why you're there as a team in that store.
Right.
Okay. And then
And
next,
then the next is related as well. When you do make mistakes, it's best to admit and definitely, learn from it and show everybody else that you are trying to solve what happened. Or, it could go back to you might not know the solution, so ask for help as well. But like we said in the other slide, with the current situation, we can't cover up mistakes for our own safety and well-being. We need to own up to them and then solve them, and then that's the only way we can move forward.
Yeah. It's really the action after, right? That defines how, if there is humility and there's a sense of accountability. There might be certain people who will always say, oh, I'm so sorry, but if they keep making the same mistakes and then the next action does not really correct that, I really don't, I mean, I'm going to be confused on how I would feel about that person. Right? Then it creates now distrust. Because it's like, I'm giving this person another chance because, that person seems to be very apologetic, was humble enough to admit mistakes, but then, it wasn't corrected.
Yes.
It's still the same process. So there's no growth. So if that relationship, in a way, is getting abused by one side, so that means that person has a taker mindset, right? Like, and then starts using humility and continuous apologies to still fuel the relationship, to still take from the other person. Because if I'm humble enough, if I apologize, that person ends up doing the work, right? Like helping me out. But then it's not a mutually beneficial relationship. So it's not gonna grow.
Right.
So
And then
in the end, it's really the action. Yeah.
And then, like you said, when a person keeps saying sorry but doesn't try to solve it, then it's not an authentic asking for forgiveness, going back to the need for authenticity as well.
Yeah. So if you look at it, right, like all the lessons, all the episodes are really interrelated with each other. So you can't really train someone on service skills in 3 episodes, 5 episodes. It's a continuous process, and that's why when we designed the Reboot program, we initially designed it with 20 episodes, but I'm thinking that I think we have to add more.
Definitely.
Given how complex this subject is.
Right.
Okay, so that ends our end of the week Q&A. Thank you so much, Gabe, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom and experience. And
thank you, Michelle.
we hope that we were able to answer with justice this very simple question, but with such a complex and fascinating answer. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you next week.
See you.